Summer 1943, Camp Crossville, Tennessee. The brown, fizzing liquid inside the glass bottle captivated the German soldier who had never seen anything like it. After 2 years of fighting in the deserts of North Africa, surviving on hard biscuits and ersatz coffee, this sweet, bubbling drink called Coca-Cola seemed like a miracle. Impossibility made real. It cost 5 cents at the camp canteen, the same price American children paid with their pocket change. That summer, across hundreds of prison camps in the United States, 371,000 German prisoners of war would face a reality that shattered every illusion Nazi propaganda had built. They discovered in America where ice cream was an ordinary dessert, where soda was an everyday drink, and where candy bars were so common that guards gave them away casually. These simple foods, sugary, colorful, joyful, did more to destroy Nazi ideology than any weapon or propaganda ever could. For the men of the defeated Afrika Korps, the surrender in Tunisia in May 1943 had marked the end of one world and the beginning of another. Expecting cruelty and starvation from their captors, they instead encountered abundance. U.S. Army field rations, K-rations that American troops themselves often complained about, were feasts to them. Crackers, cheese, candy, fruit bars, instant coffee, sugar tablets, and cigarettes. Many prisoners later testified they had never eaten so well, not even in victory. American soldiers fed their enemies better than the German army had fed its own men. This bewildering kindness became their first lesson in American power. As Liberty ships carried thousands of prisoners across the Atlantic, the education continued. These ships, mass-produced faster than any vessel in history, one completed every 42 hours, transported 30,000 prisoners a month to America. The rations aboard matched those of the crew. Fresh bread, meat, vegetables, coffee, and even ice cream. On July 4, 1943, prisoners aboard the USS General M.B. Stewart were served homemade ice cream. 10 gallons per batch. For men who hadn't tasted it since before the war, this was not food. It was revelation. When they arrived at ports like Norfolk or Newport News, they stepped into the industrial wonderland that Nazi propaganda had called a lie. Warehouses overflowed with goods. Dockside shops displayed rows of candy bars. Hershey, Mars, Nestlé, all for the same price, 5 cents. The trains that carried them inland were not cattle cars, but passenger coaches with dining service. They ate fried chicken, vegetables, pie, and drank real coffee. Learning this wasn't luxury. It was simply how Americans traveled. At Camp Crossville, Tennessee, and hundreds of other camps, the lessons continued. Electric lights, hot water, heated barracks, and flush toilets astonished men who came from a Europe crumbling under war. Yet it was the camp stores, the PX, that truly transformed them. There, for their daily wages of 80 cents to $1, prisoners could buy candy bars, soft drinks, ice cream, cigarettes, and beer. A single day's pay could purchase 16 candy bars or bottles of Coca-Cola. In Germany, such luxuries required special connections, ration cards, or bribery. Here, even prisoners could buy them freely. Coca-Cola became the emblem of America's industrial democracy. 5 billion bottles were produced in 1943 alone, ensuring that every soldier, and, remarkably, every prisoner, could enjoy it for a nickel. The drink tasted the same everywhere, from Maine to Texas, proof of a standardization beyond anything German industry had achieved. For engineers among the prisoners, that uniform taste was as shocking as the sweetness itself. It was proof that American chaos was, in fact, organized abundance. Ice cream, too, became legend. In camps with refrigeration, it was served weekly in summer. At Camp Shelby, Mississippi, prisoners watched as Americans cranked ice and cream together by hand for July 4th celebrations. Later, electric machines made dozens of flavors: chocolate, vanilla, butter pecan, more than German cities had offered before the war. Sugar, freely available in the mess halls, astonished them most. While German civilians were rationed to a few hundred grams a month, American prisoners had bowls of it on every table. When a kitchen once threw away hardened sugar rather than salvage it, German workers nearly wept at the waste. Even American holidays carried lessons. On Thanksgiving 1943, every camp served roast turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, pumpkin pie, the same meal as American troops. Christmas brought gifts from American civilians: cookies, candy, cigarettes, games. In towns like Tonkawa and Herne, local church groups baked for their captives. It was mercy the Nazis had taught them to believe impossible. By 1944, many prisoners were working outside the camps, in farms, orchards, and canneries, witnessing the machinery of abundance firsthand. They saw fields of sugar beets and fruit orchards producing more food for decoration than Germany could grow for survival. They watched factories reject perfect fruit for cosmetic flaws. They saw school children drink milk daily and buy ice cream with pocket change while German children starved. The numbers told their own story. America produced 7 million tons of sugar annually, 380 million pounds of chocolate for the military alone, and 500 million gallons of ice cream a year. By contrast, Germany produced almost none. American abundance was measurable, tangible, and real, not ideology, but arithmetic. By late 1944, German prisoners began sending food packages home. Red Cross records show that millions of parcels filled with American coffee, chocolate, and canned goods reached starving families in Germany. The sight of American products arriving from captive sons destroyed what remained of Nazi lies. The defeated fed the free, and the world turned upside down. When the war ended and these men returned home, many were healthier than when captured. Heavier, stronger, visibly well-fed. They carried more than food. They carried a new worldview. They had seen a country whose power came not from domination, but from production. A society so confident it could feed its enemies ice cream. They spoke of Coca-Cola and Hershey bars like relics of a better world. For their children, these stories became legends, of fizzing sweetness, of freedom that tasted like sugar. In post-war Germany, those same men helped rebuild a nation on the lessons they had learned in captivity. They helped reintroduce Coca-Cola in 1949, opened ice cream parlors modeled after American soda fountains, and promoted supermarkets that mirrored American consumer democracy. They had learned that abundance, not conquest, builds strength, that industrial efficiency and equality could coexist. Historian Arnold Kramer later concluded that America's food abundance achieved what no re-education program could. It dismantled Nazism with kindness and production. Statistics prove it. While German civilians survived on 1,200 calories a day, prisoners in America ate 3,500, with ice cream, soft drinks, and milk in unlimited supply. They were not indoctrinated by lectures, but by taste buds and full stomachs. Years later, veterans remembered their first Coca-Cola as drinking the future. It was sweet, unnecessary, joyful, and available to everyone. It embodied everything their homeland had destroyed in pursuit of control. The ice cream sundae, layered with syrup, whipped cream, and a cherry on top, became the perfect metaphor for democracy. Excessive, equal, and shared even with enemies. In the end, it was not bullets or bombs that re-educated the men of the Africa Corps, but sugar, milk, and kindness. They arrived as soldiers of conquest and left as witnesses of creation. The United States had proven that true power lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the capacity to give, even to one's enemies, a bottle of Coca-Cola and a scoop of ice cream on a hot summer day.